So now today we'll see some word problems based on linear equation in two variables. First write down the word problem, then accordingly we'll see how to solve the word problem. So first word problem is taxi charge in a city consists of fixed charges and remaining depending upon the distance travelled in kilometers. So if a person travels 70 kilometers, he pays rupees 950, and for traveling 100 kilometers he pays rupees 1250. So find fixed charge and rate per kilometer. So in the question it is given that the taxi fare in a particular city is having the fixed charges and the remaining dependent upon the distance traveled. So if a person is traveling 70 kilometers, he is paying 950, and if he is traveling 900 kilometers, he is paying 1250, that is 1250. So accordingly we need to find out what are the fixed charges and what is the rate per kilometer. So how to solve it is, see, accordingly we need to understand the question properly, that as there are two variables, that is fixed charges and rate per kilometer. So let's take fixed charges as rupees X and rate per kilometer as rupees Y. So accordingly we have taken two variables. Now accordingly, first what we need to do, first we need to make the equation, and after making the equation we need to solve the equation. Accordingly we need to find out the value of X and Y. So first equation if we make, so the first statement is given is, if a person is traveling 70 kilometers, he is paying 950. So it means that fixed charges are X, that is applicable, plus he is traveling 70 kilometers and rate per kilometer is Y. So accordingly 70 into Y, and this will be equal to 950, because 950 consists of fixed charges and the variable charges. Variable charges depend upon the distance travelled in kilometer, that is rate per kilometer. So accordingly X plus 70Y is equal to 950. This will be our first equation. And the same way for the second equation, there is a second statement given, that is for travelling 100 kilometers he pays 1250. So accordingly fixed charges are X plus 100 kilometers is travelling, so variable charges are 100 into Y, and this will be equal to 1250. So this is our second equation. Now accordingly we got two equations, and we will solve this equation, and accordingly we find the answer. So what we need to do to solve it is, we can do one thing is, like we can directly subtract 1 from second. So what we can do is, we can directly subtract first equation from the second one, because the coefficients of X are already equal, that is 1. So if they are already equal, we need not have to make the coefficient equal, because X coefficients are already equal. So what we can do is we can directly subtract. So if we can subtract first from second, what we'll get is 100Y minus 70Y, that is 30Y, is equal to 1250 minus 950, that is 300. So accordingly the value of Y is 300 upon 30, that is 10. So it means the rate per kilometer is rupees 10. So accordingly the taxi charges depends on that for traveling 1 kilometer, apart from the fixed charges, the taxi is charging 10 rupees per kilometer. So this we got the value of Y. Now accordingly, how to find the value of X is, what we can do is we can keep the value of Y in any of one of the equation, and accordingly we'll get the value of X. Let's take put value of Y as rupees 10 per kilometer in equation 1. So what we'll get is x plus 70 into 10 is equal to 950. So accordingly we have kept the value of y. So now if we solve it, what we'll get is x is equal to 950 minus 700. So this will be equal to rupees 250. So these are our fixed charges. That the value of x is rupees 250. So in this way we need to first understand the question properly, and accordingly we need to make the equation. And if we have once made the equation, it is easier for us to solve the question and find the answer. Now we move on to the next example. First write down the question is: the students of a class are made to stand in rows. If 4 students are extra in each row, there would be 2 rows less. And if 4 students are less in each row, there would be 4 rows more. So find the number of students in the class. So accordingly in the question it is given that the students of a class are made to stand in rows. So and what they are doing is, there are a fixed number of students which are standing in a row, and there are a few number of rows. So what they are saying is, if they remove 4 students, or if they add 4 students in each row, that is if 4 students are extra in each row. So if they add 4 students in each row, then there would be 2 rows less as compared to the previous. Previously what they are doing, we need to find out the number of students. So for finding out the number of students, what we can do is, let's take a number of rows as x and number of students in each row is y. So accordingly we have taken the total number of rows previously was x and number of students in each row was y. So now what they are saying is that if they add 4 students in each row, that is if number of students previously was y, so if they add 4 students in each row, it will become y plus 4. So accordingly number of rows will get reduced, and it get reduced by 2. That is number of rows will now be x minus 2. In the same way, if they are saying that if 4 students are less in each row, that is if they remove 4 students from each row, that is if they make number of students in each row as y minus 4, then there would be 4 rows more. So number of rows will get increased in that case. So number of rows will be x plus 4. So accordingly we need to find out the total number of students in the class. So what we can do is, as we have taken number of rows as x and number of students in each row as y, so accordingly total number of students will be x into y, because each row has y number of students and there are x rows. So total number of students will be x into y. So now what we can do, accordingly whatever information is given, we will first write down the equation on the basis of that. So first statement given is 4 students are extra in each row. That means if they add 4 students in each row, that is y plus 4, then there would be 2 rows less. So rows will become x minus 2. So this y plus 4 into x minus 2 will give us the total number of students, because number of students will remain the same. Only what they are doing is they are adding 4 students in each row. Accordingly the number of rows will get reduced. So y plus 4 into x minus 2 will be equal to x into y, that is xy. So this will be our first equation. Accordingly from the basis of second statement, what we can do is, if 4 students are less in each row, that is y minus 4, there would be 4 rows more. So number of rows will get increased, so it will become x plus 4, and this again will be equal to x into y. because product of this y minus 4 into x plus 4 is again will be equal to the total number of students in the class. So accordingly we got two equation, and now we'll try to solve this two equation. So what we can do is, first we'll open the bracket of this two equation. If you open the bracket of this two equation, what we can get is y plus 4 into x minus 2. So if you open the bracket, we'll get as xy minus 2y. So what we have done is we have multiplied y with x and 2. So we got xy minus 2y. Accordingly, we multiply 4 with x and 2. We will get as plus 4x minus 8 is equal to xy. And accordingly, second equation is in the same way we will do the multiplication is, first we multiply y with x plus 4. So accordingly, we will get xy plus 4y, and accordingly we will multiply this minus 4 with x plus 4. So we will get as minus 4x minus 16 is equal to xy. And now as you are seeing here that xy and xy are there common here, so it get cancelled because the xy are on the opposite side of the equation. So as they are on the opposite side of the equation and with the same sign, so that's why we are cancelling xy. So after cancelling xy, what we get is, we write down the remaining part as 4x minus 2y is equal to, and we'll take this minus 8 on the RHS side, so it will become plus 8. So this will become our first equation, and accordingly 4y minus 4x will be equal to 16. In the same way we got the second equation. Now for solving these two equations, what we can do is we can directly add these equations, because if you are seeing here, that is coefficients of x and are already equal and they are of the opposite sign. So there is no need to change the sign or to make the coefficient equal, because they are already equal and of opposite sign. So what we can do is we can directly add these two equations. So if we directly add these two equations, this minus 4x and plus 4x will get cancelled. So remaining part is 4y minus 2y is equal to 24. So 2y is equal to 24. So y will be equal to 12. So that is, we got the value of y as 12. So y was number of students in each row. And now what we can do is we can keep the value of this y in any one of these two equations, and we'll get the value of x. So accordingly we'll keep the value of y, let's take in the first equation. So we'll get as 4x minus 2 into 12 is equal to 8. So 4x is equal to 8 plus 2 into 12 is 24. So 4x will be equal to 8 plus 24, that is 32. So x will be equal to 8. So accordingly we got the value of x as 8, that is the number of rows was 8. So as the number of students in each row was y, that is equal to 12, and number of rows was x, that is 8. So that is total number. So accordingly we will get the total number of students. Total number of students in the class. So as we already discussed that the total number of students in the class was x into y. So we got the value of x as 8 and value of y as 12. So accordingly total number of students was 96. So this is the answer. So in this way we need to actually understand the question, and accordingly we write down the equation first, and after that we will be able to solve the question properly. So now we move on to the next question. First write down the question as, in the question it is given that the monthly incomes of A and B are in the ratio 8:7, and their expenditure are in the ratio 19:16. So if each saves rupees 5,000 per month, then find the monthly income of each. So now in the question it is given that they are talking about the monthly income, expenditure and saving of two persons, that is A and B. So as they are given that the monthly income of A and B are in the ratio 8:7 and their expenditure are in the ratio 19:16. So if both are saving rupees 5,000 per month, so accordingly we need to find out the monthly income of each, that is monthly income of A and B both. So what we can do is, so first we'll take the income of A and B as, let's take income of A as 8x and accordingly income of B as 7x. So as they are in the ratio 8:x, so we have taken 8:7, so we have taken it as 8x and 7x. So income of A is 8x and income of B is 7x, and accordingly we'll take their expenditure. So expenditure of A as we'll take as 19y and expenditure of B as 16y. So accordingly we have taken their expenditure in the ratio 19:16, that is 19y and 16y. So if both are saving rupees 5,000 per month, so accordingly we need to find out their monthly income. So what we can do is, accordingly we'll first write down the equation. As you know that the income is actually equal to the expenditure plus saving. So it means if the income of A is 8x and expenditure of A is 19y and saving is given as 5,000, so accordingly we'll write this and accordingly we'll get the first equation. So that is 8x is income is equal to expenditure 19y plus saving, that is 5,000. In the same way we'll write down the second equation, that is income of B is 7x, expenditure of B is 16y and saving is 5,000. So accordingly we will get the second equation. So now we got the two equation and now we can solve it. So easiest method to solve this equation is, if we make the equation coefficients equal, it will be little more complicated because it will just increase the calculation. So what we can do directly is, we can subtract second from first. That is, we can directly subtract the second equation from the first one. So accordingly we'll get as 8x minus 7x is equal to 19y minus 16y plus 0, that is 5,000 minus 5,000 as 0. So accordingly we'll get the relationship between x and y as x is equal to 3y. So now this relationship we got, and accordingly we'll use this relationship and in any one of the equation, and accordingly we'll get the value of x or y. So like if we put value of, if I put value of x as 3y, let's take in equation 1. So what I will get is 8 into 3y is equal to 19y plus 5,000. So now if I solve it, what I will get is 24y and 19y I will take on the left hand side, so it will become minus 19y plus 5,000. Sorry, minus 19y is equal to 5,000 because 5,000 is on the RHS side. So accordingly if I solve it, what I will get is 5y is equal to 5,000. So accordingly the value of y is equal to 5,000 upon 5, that is 1,000. So I got the value of y, and now I can use this value of y to find out the value of x, because x is equal to 3y, so that is 3 into 1,000. So accordingly I will get the value of x. So as I got the value of x and y, now I can easily find out the income of A and B, because income of A was 8 into x. So I will keep the value of x here, so I will get as 8 into 3,000, so I will get as 24,000, and accordingly income of B is equal to 7x, that is 7 into 3,000. So accordingly I will get as 21,000. So these are the income of A and B, which was needed to find out as they are asked in the question. So accordingly this is the way to find out to solve the question, and accordingly most important is to understand and accordingly make the equation properly. Now we'll see some more examples. First we'll write down the question is, in the question it is given that is 7 times a 2-digit number, 7 times a 2-digit number is equal to 4 times the number obtained by reversing its digits. If the difference between the digit is 3, so accordingly we need to find the number. So what is given in the question is that 7 times a 2-digit number is equal to the 4 times the number obtained by reversing a digits. Means if there is a 2-digit number and if we reverse the digits of the 2-digit number, so that newly formed number is actually equal, 4 times of that number is actually equal to the 7 times of the original number. And accordingly, in the second statement, it is given that the difference between these two digits of the particular number is actually given as 3. So we need to find out the number. So what we can do is first we'll make the equation accordingly solve it. So let's a 2-digit number be xy. So I have taken a 2-digit number as xy and I need to find out this xy. So xy is a 2-digit number in which y is taken as a unit digit and x is taken as a tens digit. So it's actually a 2-digit number, that is xy. And 7 times of xy is equal to 4 times of the number obtained by reversing a digits. Means if we interchange the place of x and y, I will get as yx, and this 7 times of xy is actually equal to the 4 times of yx. And now accordingly what I can do is I will first simplify this. So for simplifying this, I need to write this xy and yx in the expanded form, because as you can see, as you know that y is a unit digit and x is a tens digit here. In the second number, that is yx, x is a unit digit and y is tens digit. So accordingly I need to first write this xy and yx in the expanded form. So accordingly I will get as 10x plus y is equal to 4 times of 10y plus x. So now this 70x plus 7y, it means I have multiplied the 7 with these two numbers, is equal to 40y plus 4x. And now if I simplify it, what I will get is I will take x on the one side of the equation, y on the other side of the equation, that is 70x minus 4x. It means I am shifting 4x to the left hand side and 7y to the right hand side. So I will get 70x minus 4x, that is 66x is equal to 40y minus 7y, that is 33y. So accordingly 2x is equal to y. This is the relationship I got between y and x, because before finding this relationship you cannot write the second statement in the form of equation, because in the second statement it is given that the difference between the digits is 3. So that difference between the digit, that is difference between these two digits, that is x and y, is 3. So either you can take x minus y as 3 or either you can take y minus x as 3, but you don't know that which number is bigger. So accordingly what to be taken, like x minus y to be taken or y minus x to be taken. So first you need to find out the relationship between x and y, which we got here. So this will become our first equation. So from the first equation you can easily see that y is equal to 2 times of x. It means y is the bigger number or greater number than x. So as y is the greater number, it means what we need to take is we need to take y minus x as 3, because y is the greater number. So this will become our second equation. And now we'll use this two equation to get the value of x and y. So as in the second equation it is given that y minus x is equal to 3. And what we can do is from the first equation we'll keep the value of y in the second equation. So put value of y as 2x from the first equation in equation second. So accordingly what I will get is 2x minus x is equal to 3. So accordingly the value of x is equal to 3. That is, I got the one number out of x and y. And now I use this number to get the value of y. So as you know that y is equal to 2x, that is 2 into 3. So this is equal to 6. So in this way I got the value of x and y, and accordingly I can now write down the number, and I can now write down the number and get the number as you know that the original number I have taken as xy. So accordingly the value of x is 3 and value of y is 6. So it means the original number is 36. So this is our answer. So in the question, you need to understand that they are asking the original number, not the number obtained after reversing the digits. So accordingly the original number is 36. So in this way we need to understand the question and simplify it by writing the equations properly. And now we'll see one more example based on this linear equation. Is first write down the question as 5 years ago A was thrice as old as B, and 10 years later A shall be twice old as B. So what are the present ages of A and B? So now in the question it is given that 5 years ago age of A was 3 times as age of B, and 10 years later, like from present from present condition, 10 years later they are talking about, means after 10 years from the present condition, they are telling that the age of A will be or shall be 2 times as age of B. So accordingly we need to find out the present ages of A and B. So accordingly we consider that let the present age of A be x and let the present age of B be y. So accordingly we have taken the present ages of A and B as x and y years. Now first what we do is first we'll write down the equation and accordingly we solve it. So it is given that 5 years ago means x minus 5 and y minus 5. It means ages of both we have taken 5 years ago. So that's why we have subtracted 5 from the both their ages, because they are talking about 5 years ago. So x minus 5 and y minus 5. And 5 years ago A was 3 times as old as B. It means age of A 5 years ago was x minus 5 and age of B 5 years ago was y minus 5, and this age of A is 3 times of age of B. So it means if we multiply 3 into the age of B, we'll get the age of A, because A was 3 times old as B. So accordingly this will become our first equation. And now from the second statement we'll write down that they are telling that after 10 years, means 10 years later. So if they are talking about 10 years later, from present they are talking about, so accordingly we'll take the ages of A and B after 10 years, that is x plus 10 and y plus 10. So the age of A will be 2 times of age of B after 10 years. So now this will become our second equation, and accordingly now we'll solve it and get the value of x and y. So if we solve the first equation, what we'll get is x minus 5 is equal to, we'll open this bracket, so we'll get as 3y minus 15. And now if we simplify it, what we'll get is 3y minus x is equal to 10. So this now will become our first equation, and accordingly if we solve the second equation, what we'll get is x plus 10 is equal to 2y plus 20. So accordingly we'll get as x minus 2y is equal to 10. So now this will become our second equation. And now to simplify it, what we can do is we can add equation 1 and 2. So if we add equation 1 and 2, what we'll get is 3y minus x plus x minus 2y is equal to 20. And why we have added these two equations? Because as you can see from the first and second equation, that the coefficients of x are already equal and they are of opposite sign. So we need nothing we need to do is except adding these two equations, because there is no need to change the sign, as sign of the coefficient sign of x are already same and their coefficients are also equal. So what we need to do is we only need to add these two equations, and what we have that we have done. So after adding these two equations, this minus x and plus x will get cancelled. So 3y minus 2y will become y, and this will be equal to 20. So it means age of B we got as 20 years. So as we got the age of B as 20 years, and accordingly now what we can do is we can keep the value of y in any one of the equation and we'll get the value of x. So let's put value of y as 20 in equation second. So accordingly what we'll get is x minus 2 into y, that is 20, is equal to 10, and accordingly x is equal to 10. We will take this 2 into 20 on the right hand side, so it will become plus. So 2 into 20 is 40, that will be equal to 50 years. It means the age of A we got as 50 years, and accordingly age of B we got as 20 years. So this is the answer. So in this way we need to actually make the equation properly and solve the linear equation.